October 16, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. Go down to the descriptions below. You can see where I took my trades as well as where I thought I saw setups. There's only one piece of economic data that came out today at 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here, 5:30. It was the Empire State Manufacturing Index, and I don't know necessarily that it caused too much of a reaction. But there was a pretty strong move today. It was kind of like a big rally, sell-off. It got very choppy, and then it kind of closed. So it looked like it was kind of like a rally, and then it went into this, I would say, kind of a large trading range, kind of captured by something like this. But this large trading range is hard to trade off of because there's no real consistent highs and lows that it would bounce off of with good setups. Myself, I didn't find too many setups today that were really apparent to me to take trades, but I did take two trades that were both profitable, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go into the trades today, and I actually saw excuse me, I actually also saw two large measured legs, one here, pull back, and a second one touched. And then there was a few more throughout the trading day, but as I said, it was kind of, although there was these big moves, I didn't see very many high probability setups, unfortunately. So this is the pre-market. This is the pre-market. This is the pre-market highs and lows that I marked off. And in the pre-market, there was kind of a lot of choppy side-by-side bars that made it really hard to tell. If this is regular trading hours, it wasn't the easiest, most apparent. But as soon as it opened, I didn't have this red channel drawn first. I actually had this yellow channel drawn, but it didn't really fit well, I would say, because it only touched once, twice, three times. You could argue a fourth time, but it broke out at this point, and then there was kind of this outside price action that was dwelling outside this, and I actually tried to make it fit. And I dragged it here, here, and every time it just didn't look quite right, so I just left it here, and I just accepted that maybe there wasn't very many good trades here. I also noticed that a lot of the candles were just tiny, small moves that were hard to enter on because if there was a second entry setting up, it was just like a one tick move to make the second entry. So that's kind of hard to trust because it just kind of shows that the candles are a little bit in congestion. And so if there's just candles side by side with one tick above or below, and you try to count second entries off of that, it gets very, very risky, very, very dicey. So then it sold off, and then it starts entering this other trading range. I don't have this red channel drawn yet, but I did suspect there was some kind of resistance up here. So I did have a trend line up here, but I wasn't 100% sure where the bottom was. And then later I found it, and I just kind of placed it here and here. But you have to ignore the red one for now. I was trading this yellow one, and this is actually where I took my first entry. So actually I saw this as a new high, very apparent new high, comes down, X makes a very deliberate first entry long, all the way up, pulls back, creates a second entry long here. I also saw this as a new low, made first entry short, pulls back, creates a second entry short, and then it fails. So in real time, what I saw was this, and I was thinking there's a potential second entry long. I wasn't really sure about the second entry short failure, but I did have this yellow channel drawn as soon as this touched. I said, I think there's a channel here. So when I saw this, I did have my order ready. And when it flashed up, I entered here. And this blue range didn't exist yet at this time, but I was thinking there was enough room for a scalp. So I entered here and was able to quickly get a scalp before I reached the top, which is what I wanted. Then prices continue moving, drops around. At this point, I'm thinking there is kind of a blue range here. I wasn't 100% sure where the top of it was because I was thinking at one time it was here. This is an overshoot, but that was after I already had taken this trade because I actually had this like something like this. And I was more concerned about hitting the top here, trusting that the bounce would come for the yellow channel. And when this occurred, I thought, okay, maybe the range might be slightly higher. Turns out it didn't really come into play and offer too many trades. I did see a visual new high, first entry long, second entry long, but I just, wasn't too sure when I saw this because I didn't have this red channel as a potential bounce point. Had I found this earlier, trusting that this is pretty strong resistance and just drew it and just trusted it down here, I might have been able to see that there's a potential trade here, but just taking it off of the second touch when there hasn't been really much confirmation was a little risky. So I wouldn't have known to have an order ready. So this trade, if you were able to get on it, then clearly you saw something way better than I have. And that's not saying much because I don't see a lot. So price then continue moving, goes up in this orange channel. I just saw a consolidation area, and I did notice in real time I saw a new low, first entry short, second entry short failure. But here, even though there's a second entry short failure, it's a good signal bar. It's just very congested. The bodies are just side by side here. Looks like it's having trouble breaking out, but it's also having trouble coming down. So it's kind of felt like anybody's game here. Then prices continue moving up. It looks like it's within this orange channel, but I didn't really see any good setups. Kind of consolidates in this blue range, breaks out, drops around. EMA looks like it's holding. And again, I'm just drawing these small little overlapping channels, and it just wasn't very apparent right now to me if there was one dominating channel, except for maybe this red one, because I had one touch, two touch, three touch, and maybe a fourth one, but you only had two down here. But you do clearly see that it's a bullish uptrend. However, I just had to kind of keep working with these smaller channels and just kind of be drawing these overlaps, but that made me a little bit unsure of if I was getting the price action correct. So then prices didn't continue moving. It goes up this orange channel, breaks out, and this is actually where I see another setup. I see a new high, the first entry long, second entry long. The second entry long, first of all, before the next candle prints, you don't have a second entry long yet, but I do see you have a good signal bar, and it's only 5 ticks of risk. I also like that it was bouncing off the EMA, and it is off the potential bottom of this green channel. But as I said, throughout the day, at this point, I was just drawing all these channels, and I just wanted a more powerful, strong, firm channel that I could trust. The other thing was it already came off the top, and it was made this measured move. So it made one move up, and I consolidated and made a second move up. So it clearly made the measured move. So to go long made me a little nervous because it already made the measured move. So most likely it might come back down for a correction. But it was a conflicting idea that it's also this orange channel. It's the first break. It made one push up. It could make a second push up to touch this high, which is also with trend. So that was kind of all these things playing in my head. So I just wasn't really sure which one it was. Also on the green channel, there's an overshoot, which tells me to be careful taking an entry long because this overshoot might have a matching overshoot on this side. So there's reasons to go long, reasons to go short. All in all, it just told me just to sit on my hands and potentially wait for a lower high confirmation. So if I get a lower high, or excuse me, a higher low, then I might be able to like trust that it's going to go up, but it's already touching this. So if I wanted to go short, I'd be looking for a lower high to probably go short. But again, there's too many things going on that made me unsure. Prices then continue, falls into this yellow channel, and as you can see, these just side-by-side candles. It just seems kind of hard to trade. The new low here, first entry short, second entry short. I thought this was actually a possible setup because a good signal bar with two legs up, rejection and touch of this larger yellow down channel with enough room to scalp. So it looked like there's enough room to scalp, and it looked like it was a possible trade. But as I said, I wasn't sharp enough to feel get a good feel of whether to go short or just to sit on my hands because wasn't sure if I was gonna have a test and come back up to here. Turns out it would have worked. Comes back down, falls into this green channel kind of. This green channel got a little bit messed up. A little bit closer to this. It gets very choppy here. I don't really like anything I see. It's very ugly trading. It looks like it's within this range here. And I did see this as a new high. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. It's a really good signal bar for a second entry long. Also notice it's a fail breakout of this blue range and a potential triple test. So this is actually a pretty good trade, I thought. I just didn't take it though. And there's enough room to scalp out before you hit the top. I also drew this blue line here and this blue line down here after the fact, but they show up later. Prices can continue moving up. This is where I thought, okay, there's some kind of resistance here. That's where I established this blue line. Now I was thinking the range could actually be the high here and the low of this blue box that I have here. And then later I also drew this lower here. So I was thinking there actually might be a bigger range and kind of a smaller range inside. Prices were continue chopping. This is just ugly trading right now. Prices then break out, comes up, goes through this green channel, and I thought I saw a second entry short here. It's a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short. Now I thought this trade, I first thought it might have been a possible trade, but then I looked at it again. I think it was an aggressive trade if you took it because you broke out of this green channel. You already made a new high, so the uptrend for this green channel is played out. You do have two kind of tests come back down. The problem with this is I wanted this signal bar to actually tick one tick below this green one because right now you just have a twin bar setup right here, double highs and double lows. So it's a little bit hard to trust because you can see not only are these candles pretty much the same size, they're also they're just like reversals of each other because this one opened at the low, closed at the pretty close to the high, and this one opened at the high, closed pretty much at the lows. So who's going to win out on this? It's hard to tell because it could push up, pull back, and make a second leg up. So if you took this trade, I thought it was kind of an aggressive entry. And for me, I thought it would just be better to wait for a lower high confirmation at or near pretty much the EMA or below, ideally, then I know to go short. When prices go down, you don't get that lower high, unfortunately. So you just have to watch this run away. So if you took this aggressive entry, you would have been rewarded. Prices then keep chopping. It's kind of whipsaw. This is where I actually take my second trade of the day. I saw a new low here. It's a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Here, the second entry short actually hasn't failed yet, but I also saw this as a higher low. It's a pretty decent signal bar, and it's after the break of this channel, so it already made one push up. It technically already tested the highs, but I was thinking there's probably enough momentum to push it back up because this consolidation, even though it's in this trading range, this is signal bar is pretty strong. I didn't have this purple line in place yet, and I'll admit this isn't the strongest entry, but I took it one tick above with the idea that there's enough room to scalp out, and I was able to scalp out. Unfortunately, on this candle, when I entered, it went up and it touched my exit, but it never filled me, so I wasn't sure what's going to happen. Then this candle opened, and it actually was able to get out right at the highs, the same highs right here. As you can see, this little magenta arrow. So I was lucky on that one. And in hindsight, I was thinking back, this was probably a little bit riskier, not the highest probability setup. Here, you see that prices are clearly moving down, consolidating, flashes up. It's hard to really know what was going on here. It rallied up, then immediately reversed, and then rallied strongly back up. But when it rallied strongly back up, that was part of the reasoning I was thinking there's enough momentum to keep pushing up. However, it's not super guaranteed, but nothing in trading is. But as I saw it, that's why I took the risk, and I said, I think there's enough to at least maybe touch the top. Then prices continue moving up. It breaks out, consolidates, and I do see a hidden second entry long here. It's a new high. It's a first entry long, pulls back, and this is the second entry long in the same candle. So it's one push up, pull back, breaks below, and comes right back up. So it's a hidden second entry long. Now there's potential trade here, I thought, but there's enough room to scalp out before you hit the highs. And depending how you drew your trading range, if you drew it up here, then clearly you have enough room. But I actually had it a little bit lower here. So when I had it a little bit lower here, I felt it was a little bit dicey to try to scalp out with that. It's exactly 6 ticks, but I just wasn't too confident. Plus, it was a hidden second entry long. I'd rather more deliberate second entry long than I feel more confident in the trade. The prices continue moving up, breaks out here, comes back, starts going down on this yellow channel, and it just kind of gets these STEMI bars. I don't see any good clean second entries, at least with what I was seeing. It kind of moves up, it breaks down, and then here you're getting kind of close to the end of the day. So I decided that there wasn't worth any trade to take because I was already up 2 green. I didn't want to risk giving any money back. And it just kind of gets kind of whipsawing. And as you can see, it goes all the way to the end. I want to point out that this is right here, 12:59. This is with 1 minute left in the trading hour or trading day, regular trading hours. And you can see how many candles printed in this 1 minute. There's one, two, three. There's at least like, I think, almost 20 candles. You can see the timestamp is at 12:59 even. This is only 7 seconds later, another 8 seconds, another 7, all the way to the end. So this is 2,000 orders going through, printing these candles. So this is one of the reasons why it's dangerous to trade in the last 10 minutes or even the last, I'd say 15 minutes, because you can get crazy things like this happening. It's hard to react quickly because these happening in about 5 to 7 seconds, you'd have to get your order in. And what's to say in the life of this candle, it didn't whip up and down and take you out, hit your stop. So it's kind of interesting. Overall, it was I wouldn't say it was a particularly challenging trading day, but it was kind of dry. I didn't see that many setups, at least with my skill level. So hopefully that was helpful.